and we will start with our flag pledge. I'm Deb Nygaard, current president of the Roseville Rotary. Welcome to our May 3rd meeting. If you would join me in the flag pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And our four-way test: is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? And I believe Jan has an invocation for us.
Yes, I do. Thank you, Deb. In honor of our conversation today that's coming from Karen Schaub, I went to look into what would I say about a community center. And in fact, it was easier and actually better to talk about community. Community is so easy to say. The word itself connects us with each other. It describes an experience so common that we never really take time to explain it. It seems so simple, so natural, so human. And in the social sector, we often add to it the names of social innovations as symbols of good intentions. For instance, community mental health, community policing, community-based philanthropy, community economic development, community education. First and foremost, though, community is not a place, a building, or an organization, nor is it an exchange of information over the internet. Community is both a feeling and a set of relationships among people. People form and maintain communities to meet common needs. I think we can all find some pieces of ourselves in what I'm reading. Members of a community have a sense of trust, belonging, safety, and caring for others, for each other. They have an individual and a collective sense that they can, as part of that community, influence their environments and each other, and even the world. That treasured feeling of community comes from shared experiences and a sense of, not necessarily the actual experience of, shared history. As a result, people know who is and who isn't part of their community, and this feeling is fundamental to human existence. Neighborhoods, companies, schools, and places of faith are context and environments for communities, but then they are not communities themselves. Communities form institutions, what we usually think of as large organizations and systems such as schools, government, faith, law enforcement, or the nonprofit sector to more effectively fill their needs. I didn't read that part very well. I apologize. Equally important, though, are communities' informal institutions, such as the social or cultural networks of helpers and leaders. For example, councils of elders, barbershops, rotating credit and savings associations, gardening clubs, maybe Rotary clubs. Lower income and immigrant communities in particular rely heavily on those informal institutions to help them make decisions, save money, solve family or intra-community problems, and link to more formal institutions. Something I think we can think about in our Rotary. Global migration has led to an assortment of communities based on people's needs and desire for that sense of trust, belonging, safety, and caring for each other. For example, one group of new immigrants may form a community around its need to advocate for better treatment by law enforcement or education. Another group may form a community around its need for spiritual guidance. The former may look like a community as we imagine it, the latter maybe not at all. It's all in the eyes of the beholder. The meaning of community requires more thoughtfulness and deliberation than we typically give it. Going forward, researchers, practitioners, and policymakers must embrace this complexity, including the crucial impact communities have on health and well-being as they strive to understand and create social change. And actually, that's the end of what I'm reading. And I apologize for maybe it being a little long, but I think as we think about a community center, as we think about community in Rotary, and as we think about the community of Roseville, and try to figure out how we can connect to all the communities that are our communities in Roseville, I think there is some guidance here. And I have to give some credit to David Chavis and Kian Lee, who wrote this information. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Jan. Appreciate that. We have a guest today, Shannon. I wonder if you would unmute yourself and introduce yourself tell us a little bit about how you found us.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. Excuse me. My name is Shannon Thomas, or I'm with Visit Roseville, and Julie Wern invited me to listen in. And I had myself muted so I could listen and be quiet like a little mouse in the corner, but thank you very much.
Yes, welcome. We're glad you're here.
Thank you.
Kathy, we have some pictures from our rain garden cleanup. Are you able to pull those up?
Yes, I'll pull them up here.
Thank you. And I wonder if I could get some of the crew that was there. I don't know, David Cray or Lynn Scott, or any of you guys able to tell us about the pictures?
David Cray was the one who headed up this project with Patty Sullivan. So I would ask him to share a little bit if you would. Thanks.
Thanks, Lynn and Deb. Yeah, so last Thursday from 11 to noon, we went to the Rotary Rain Garden and cleaned it out. We planted about 9 or 10 new plants too. That was Ted right there. Well, Ted disappeared.
Sorry.
That was Ted, who was busy pulling dandelions around the outskirts of the rain garden. So we took out a couple loads of dead biomass, I guess you can call it, weeds and leaves. And we brought in some new wood chips, and it looks new and clean. And we added probably, I can't remember, like 10 or 12 new, some cardinal flowers, some marsh, can't think of what they were called now. A purple coneflower was one of them. So we added some more rain garden plantings, some native plantings. So can you make them larger, or am I just? Anyway, it's not. I'm not seeing the pictures on my side.
You're not seeing them?
Well, they're really small. Can you go open them up or
Oh,
large?
Did you see the thumbnails?
Yeah, just thumbnails.
sorry, they're big on my side. Just a moment.
There we
So there's the
go.
crew. That's me on the left, and then Jan, Sue, and Ed Merrick, Ted, Dale was there, and Galen helped out. So that was the one. Then Patty Sullivan, who works the Arboretum, took the picture, and she helped us out with a tractor and stuff. So it was a lot of fun. It looks great.
All right.
Back
Well,
to you.
thank you all very much for your work cleaning up. That's wonderful news.
And-
Are there any
Yeah.
announcements?
Can I piggyback on that for just a moment?
Sure.
I was asking Deb if I could piggyback on that for just a moment.
Yeah.
The green team was also out there on Saturday and planted a large portion of our YMCA garden. And that is coming along well. We planted the cold weather plants. And we'll be planting again in another week and a half. And so we'll put out an invitation for either Wednesday the 12th or Saturday the 15th, depending on the weather. But the garden is looking great. We hope in 7 to 14 days, we might see a little green coming up as well. But I'm grateful for David and for Ted Johnson and Mary Jo McGuire and myself who were out there on Saturday. So thanks.
Thank you. Any other announcements?
Deb, I have an announcement.
Please go ahead, Jan.
I had a chance this week to visit with Dr. Jenny Lake, our incoming superintendent, and she asked me to have a packet sent for membership as she'll be joining as she becomes superintendent on July 1st, which I think is great news for our organization. And the continuity of superintendent always being a member of Rotary is, I think, absolutely important.
That's wonderful. Thank you, Jan. David?
Yeah, I got one more announcement for me. This Saturday is our spring cleanup for Snelling Avenue. And anybody interested in helping out, we'll be meeting at Grumpy's at 9 o'clock for a short safety briefing and assignments. And then we will put on our People of Action safety vests and go hit the street and clean it up. If you're interested, please watch the safety video before going out, and hopefully you have a nice day and a good turnout. Thanks.
Okay, any other announcements? Well, I think we will go ahead and turn it over to Madam President-elect Jenny Hedel. Would you be so kind as to introduce our speaker today?
Yes, and I actually am going to pass it right over to Jan, who's had the mic a few times already today, but he knows Karen far better than I do. So to have a personal welcome, I'm going to turn it back to Jan.
Thank you.
Well, I can only speak about Karen from what I have in my conscious memory because I didn't have a chance to prepare much, but I will tell you that Karen is a former Rotarian in another part of the community when she was working, I think, up in the Northwest. She is our Director of Community Education, and she has been overseeing lately a new building arising in from the broken bricks of the old building at Fairview Community Center, which has a new name that she will pronounce for us and help me with that. I think it's entirely appropriate to have the new name, but I can't remember it. But Karen is also, as a former Rotarian, I think that makes it at some point she might become a future Rotarian again as well, and I'd like to see that happen. Karen, please let me all introduce you, please. Karen Schaub from Fairview, Roseville Schools, Fairview Community Center and Community Ed Department. You're muted.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone. I'm delighted to be with you today and talk to you about our new building. I'm a resident of New Brighton. I have been in community education 40 plus years. We won't need to add all those years up, but I've had the wonderful opportunity to work in many of the northern school districts. So I feel like this area has really always been home. I started my career in St. Anthony Village, worked in Mounds View, went to Fridley, Columbia Heights, Spring Lake Park, and I am ending my career here in Roseville. So it's been a great opportunity. So I need to share the screen. Do I have permission to share the screen?
Yep.
Okay, but I got to get this one over on the right screen here. Okay, and now just 1 second here. View.
We're looking at your email right now, Karen.
Ah, is that gone now? Or
No,
maybe
that's
I need,
gone.
Yep, now
okay.
get your desktop.
Now so I need to maybe move this over. Oops, I'm going through the presentation. Thank you. Okay, let me try this again.
What I would do is get out of share and go back and open it and then go back and reshare.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying. Oh, here we go. Get out. And if I put this probably right over here.
So
Are
what
you seeing it now?
I did stop your share, so you're gonna have to reshare.
There we go. Do you see it?
No,
You'll have to share again.
Okay.
So oh, it
That's
looks
it.
good.
that's up.
Got it?
We're
Okay.
looking at the building.
Okay, so let me go back up. I have two screens here and I just had to move my office because I can no longer be in my office. And so this is my first morning in my new space. So it's, moving day is coming really soon here. So I want to introduce you to our new building. And we pronounce it Adobeche. And it is a Dakota word from the Dakota people. And as many of you know, Roseville District is only 13 miles away from one of the most sacred sites for the Native people of Minnesota, where the Mississippi and the Minnesota River meet. In the Dakota language, Adobeche means a new day. The traditional word offers a sense of hope and movement forward together as a community. And the name came up between the American Indian Parent Advisory Committee and the Dakota Elders. Normally, when you work on coming up with a name, we ended up doing everything backwards or not the way that it normally happens. So the elders would have normally come to our property and would have blessed the ground. And they would have walked the ground, they would have walked around our building, they would have done some different things that happened. But COVID got involved, and so things had to all be done from afar. And many of you may be aware, as you've read the news, our American Indian population really did not want to be out in public, had some very high concerns around COVID. So some things kind of got changed. We never even had a groundbreaking ceremony for our new building because of COVID. So we're kind of doing things a little bit differently here. So I'm just going to give you some picture views and a few pictures that we've taken along the way. It's been a fast-paced, it feels like movement, and yet I want to be like Dorothy and click my heels and say there's no place like home, there's no place like home, and be in our new building, because it seems like it's been going on forever. So the Roseville School District, our community passed a bond referendum, which made some money available to renovate buildings. Originally, Fairview was going to be renovated, and we were going to get some new pieces to it. When we went to the architect firm, so you first do drawings, you create what the vision looks like. We have it passed by the community's members of our community, and then we move forward to the second stage. The second stage brought us in, and as they looked at the building, they said, we can give you sort of a new facelift. We can spend a fair amount of money on this new building, but we will tell you the bones of the building have less than 20 years in them before the building could no longer be usable. And with the money coming in, we still were going to have many parts of the building that wasn't going to be acceptable. So we went back to the drawing board, and with our business manager and the superintendent, they found a way for us to build a new building without costing the taxpayers any different amount of money than what the taxpayers voted on. So that was pretty exciting to be able to look at that. But then the world moved pretty fast, and how are we going to get this done? So this is the last building project for the school district. And by December 30th, all those monies that we were able to raise by taxpayers need to all be spent. So they've got moving really fast and created a new building. And when you look at the new building, you're going to say, wow, this is a lot of space. I will tell you it's about 95,000 feet less than our current building. But if you think about older buildings, all the nooks and crannies we had, the wide hallways, we had a fair amount of space, especially over in the gym pool area, that we were no longer using except for storage. So the space got small and people got nervous, but I think it's going to feel more like a small community, more like a home where everything works so well. So if you're looking at the picture on the screen, this is the front view from a county road B8. Right now, if you remember, our parking lot was all in front of the building. Our parking lot is all going to be in the back of the building. And that was due to city ordinances. Some things have changed over time. And so properties needed to be, I think, 75 feet from the front sidewalk. So in the front of the building is only going to be for buses. So we'll have the front door be sort of like our normal front door, but all the activity will really start to happen in the back of the building. So as you're looking at the screen, you can see the back of the building. We're going to have parking spots. We have a fair amount of greenery. The greenery that's showing on these slides have changed a little bit. We worked with our neighborhood here around Fairview, and they're helping, and we'll be having another meeting to talk about actually the trees, the suggested trees and shrubberies that we're going to put in. To have a building like this work and have it done, we had our architects get involved, the city needed to get involved, and then we had to get the county involved because of County Road B. So in a lot of projects, if you hadn't had county involvement, you wouldn't have had to have a third set of eyes on it. But since it's a county road, and then there were lots of questions of how people were going to come in and out of the building, and how do we make sure that our neighbors around Fairview felt like it was not adding more noise and concern. So right now you will enter the building on the west side and you will exit mostly on the east side. That was the original plan. And now on the east side, you will be able to exit and enter. So you always have two ways of getting out of the building and the parking lot that meets fire standards and the support of our fire department. So most people will all enter here. On the west side, you can see a few folks, you can see a few cars, and there's a road there. That road is going to be where our parents of our pre-K and ECSE students, early childhood special education students, they will be dropped off there. Buses in the front, cars on the side. So the cars will be there and cabs will be there. Anything that's considered a bus will be in the front of the building. And here you can see the east side of the building as people can come and go. Our loading dock is there on the corner on the east side there. And then people are able, trucks are able to pull in there and give us supplies. The door nearest to the dock is also going to be the door where folks come in to pick up meals for Meals on Wheels. And we can talk a little bit more about that as we go through. So this is kind of the back side. And if you've driven by the building, you're starting to see the colors come alive. So I thought what would help is if I also reminded folks and told you about what was in the building. So here's a couple pictures. The top picture is one of our ECSE staff who went to visit the building today and was showing her excitement there. So she is in a early childhood classroom. The picture down below is the picture of the new pool. And there was a lot of concern when we talked about taking down this building. What about the pool? The pool used to be a 6-lane pool, and now we're down to 4 lanes to be able to fund the pool. But in the new building, you're going to, community education offices will remain. If any of you have ever been in the old Fairview building and had the opportunity to visit the craft shop, the craft shop is basically older adults who are selling items that they've made. And if you've ever been in there, you will be surprised. You will find some really creative and great products. There are people that only come there to shop for baby blankets. There's some beautiful baby blankets made, towels for babies getting out of the bathtub. So they have some really fun and interesting items. So they will still have a craft shop. And in their craft shop now, we'll have slats on the walls where all of the shelves come out. I mean, this will look like a real nice craft shop. So our seniors are pretty excited about that. We will continue with the Roseville Area Senior Program. Meals on Wheels will continue, and we'll also have times during the day for senior dining, adult dining for people who come in the building. Some of you may have heard about the Flaming Spoon. That's what we used to call here. We do not have all the names of the new parts of the building named yet, so that is still in our transition. And there will still be the pool table. They will also have their card playing. All of the activities that we had in the old building will be joining over the new building. Community education classes, and you know we have classes throughout our school district. We will continue. So if any of you were ever a jazzercise person, jazzercise continues. It's been online right now, but they are excited about coming to the new gym. The aquatics program, Meals on Wheels. Somehow I got all that added on the same line, but we will still do our swimming. We'll have open swim time. We'll have swimming lessons here. The locker rooms will be such an improvement compared to what we used to have. It's just really exciting. We'll continue with the Roseville Area Adult High School, which is our ABE, GED, and credit recovery program. We'll still continue to collect coats, hats, boots, mittens in our boots closet, coat closet. So we'll continue to offer that as we have in the past. Early learning, we'll have 6 early learning or pre-K classrooms, and then we have 6 early childhood special ed classrooms. So our building will be broken up, and I'll show you a little bit more, into 3 sections. We have the new gym and we have the swimming pool. Most of these items are listed here except for the adult high school on first floor. On second floor, we have Roseville Area Adult High School, Fairview Alternative High School, Teaching and Learning, or the Great Room as people have called it before. It's kind of our community room. And we're still going to have spaces for folks to have meetings and community meetings and still be open to the public just like we were before. So here's kind of a fun picture, March 30th, 2020 compared to March 30th, 2021. They're in the process of putting down our new driveway. It's been exciting to be able to go into the building and every day go in and see something new and different. Then on the right side here, you see kids very excitedly looking outside. So because we have to tear down the old building, there are a lot of items that need to be done before school is out, or we'll never get this old building down in time. Because all the asbestos, and you know, when this building was built in 1955, that was a product that was being used. So we have individuals all dressed in white that are taking down some of the metal around our building. So the kids were pretty excited. We had to make sure that we talked to folks ahead of time so they wouldn't be scared about these guys, but they thought, you know, the equipment was so cool. They were just into that. So in the process here, if you walked into our building now, you would see it looks like an old warehouse. The floors are up, the ceilings are gone, wires are hanging, and people are making the best of it as we get ready to transition into our new home. This is first floor, and there's different colors for different reasons, but it just kind of gives you an idea of how it's going to be laid out as we move forward. In the middle, you can see groups of circles. That's our new cafeteria, and our cafeteria is going to have a movable wall. So we can have students eating on one side of the wall, and we can have our seniors, our staff, our adult high school students eating on the other side of the wall. And there are 2 serving lines. I think we'll be able to handle about 100, let's just say about 140 people in these round tables sitting down for a meal. We'll be able to handle more folks for meetings when we don't have the round tables out. So the kitchen is just, people are so excited because of what we've had to work with here over time. This will be pretty exciting. And you can see the gym and the pool are in the front of the building. And most of the classrooms are facing south. A few of them do face north. So this kind of gives you an idea. Over on the side where there's all those little small rooms, those are all those rooms inside of the locker room. So there's the shower room, there's the changing room, there's, you know, these all kinds of various little rooms there. We move to the second floor. Over on your right-hand side, you can see it looks like a whole lot of tables. That will be similar to what we call the great room or the larger room downstairs. That also will sit, I think, about 148 individuals if we set it in lecture style. It also has a door down the middle so that we can have 2 larger meetings going on at the same time. Then there'll be offices for teaching and learning up there. And then across the hall, we have a U-shaped, but it kind of goes across in the way that there are 2 programs. So the yellow area mostly is our adult high school. The pink area is more of our Fairview Alternative program. So there'll be places for them where they share like a computer lab together. They'll share a few things. They'll have things separately. Out in the hallway in front of it, we will have some soft seating so people, they could leave a meeting, go out and talk. We actually have like 3 booths out there. So 2 or 3, 4 people could sit down and have a quick meeting, or some of our students are able to do their homework or sit out in the front area. Here's just an example to give you an idea of, we'll just call it the great room right now, even though we know we don't want to call that when we moved into the new building. You can see the tables and chairs that will be in there. And so certainly this will be an opportunity for Rotary if they have a big meeting and they want to bring in a speaker or do something interesting. This room will also be available to the community. Here's a picture that kind of gives you an idea. We have been building this new building right in front of our old building. So I have watched big tractors and tracks and all kinds of things coming in. One day I actually thought this big claw thing was going to go right through my window. They literally took all the ground right outside of that corner of the building. All of that dirt disappeared. So we've had a lot of excitement going on as we watch what's kind of happening. Over on the right side, one of the big challenges this summer is we have 2,000 loads of dirt that have to leave this building this summer, and 2,000 loads that have to come back in. So it will be really moving fast to get that done so that we can have occupancy. We're hoping to have occupancy around August 20th. If the weather is good and life is good and we can get into our building, but we also are thinking about plan B if it's a week later before we can get into our building. People are pretty excited about getting in. The main part of the building will be pretty well done by June. It's just for us to get occupancy. All of the parking lot and a permanent sign has to be on the building. So there's a list of things that have to happen that some of you maybe are more familiar than I am, but I'm learning about the different things that have to happen before we get permission for occupancy. Our hope is that the last day of school is June 10th. I've told people on June 11th, I said 4 o'clock, everyone has to be out of here knowing that noon, knowing that it's going to be 4 o'clock before everyone is out of here. And at that point, we turn over this building to the construction folks to start taking down. Our hope is that by that time, there's enough finished that we can just move our boxes from this building to that building. We can't occupy, I don't think we can even unload boxes, but we can put boxes in there, which will save us from having to rent a whole bunch of trailers and have our stuff sit in a trailer all summer, when we could actually put everything into the cafeteria until we can move in. So that's kind of my short presentation. I'm more intrigued to hear about questions that you might have about the new building. And so I will open myself for any questions that people have.
This is very interesting. Thank you so much. If you have a question, can you either raise your hand physically or your symbol, please?
Lynn Megan.
Lynn, go ahead.
Great, Karen. Thanks so much. What a fun project for you to have, to be able to keep that moving. You talked about like where the parking lot is and stuff. What will happen with handicapped accessibility with that, with parking in the back and then people having that access?
Yes, great question. So right now, I think we have about 18 parking spots, and I believe we will have the same number of handicap parking spots as we currently do right now. So yes, that's a big concern. And I think it's a concern too, to a certain extent, until you actually get a chance to walk in. People are thinking it looks too far to walk. And I agree. But then when I have actually paced things out, it looks farther than reality is. But we are really conscious about handicapped accessibility and accessibility of our older adults not having to walk too far. As well, if any of you are Meals on Wheels drivers that we're going to actually, there's a door next to the dock, and there are two doors, but you come in the first door, and right there you go into the where the Meals on Wheels, so you can grab bags and easily get out of there and not have to walk through the whole building. So I think we're going to have to probably do a little bit of learning and rethinking of some things down the road, but our plan is still to have as many handicap parking spots as close to the building as possible. Some of you may also be aware that we have partnered with the University of Minnesota Dental, and we have had a dental truck here up until a community dental truck up here until we had to close down. They will be joining us again, and we have a special spot for them to be able to get the electricity they need to continue to operate the community dental. Thanks, Lynn.
We have a question from Mary Jo.
Thanks. Thanks, Karen. It is so fun to see this. I have a couple of questions. First of all, I've come a long way. I spent a lot of time in that building. Members of my family went to junior high there. I was at the Catholic school, so I didn't, but I went to the high school, but not the junior high, but they all went there. And then I swam so many years in the pool there. And of course, all the meetings we've all gone to there. So it's great to see the new building. A couple of questions. Are you allowing for any expansion of programs? Or are you thinking the programs are going to be around the same? I'm just curious with less footage, are we sort of, are the demographics showing that numbers are going to stay about the same for early childhood, for senior dining and things like that?
I'm hoping that they'll continue to grow. So some of the conversations that we've had, one, when these projects are done for early learning, we will have 3 early learning centers throughout our school district. One at Harambe, one at Parkview, and one here. So we're also trying to make it easy for folks to get there and transport, get to the closest place that they can be at. So that is one of the pieces. The other pieces too that I've said to staff is we have to think outside of the box on programming time. So we haven't done a lot of adult basic ed in the afternoon, or we haven't done a lot on Saturdays. There are people in our community that those would be much better hours than the hours we have right now. So I've been challenging the staff to say, let's think outside of our box. What additional hours can we program that we're not programming right now that people will attend? And then also let's think about some of our programs. What can we also do to have space on the other side of the district? Because if you're coming from over by Harambe or the middle school, it's a ways to come over here. We also have a new community gym that's being built at our middle school. And we're going to also start trying to put some of our adult, even jazzercise and some of those things on both sides of the school district, so that people don't feel like there's just one place that they can go to get their services. There are several. And I think we'll have to continue to have conversations about older adults, what we can continue to do to make this a place, a community that older adults want to continue to live in, and what's missing. So we have a lot of high rises that are doing programming, and they have buses and they have different things. So what is still missing for folks? So we really need to do some more in-depth to look at what kinds of programs should we be thinking about and what should we be thinking about for the future. Thanks, Mary Jo.
Thank you,
Good
Karen.
questions.
And that is such great work. And of course, you've got great vision. So I really appreciate that answer. And I think it all makes sense. So thank you so much for that. And now I have lots of questions about the swimming pool, but I can ask those offline. But can you just give us a lesson on how to say this? When I see those words, I see 3 syllables, but you've been saying it like it's 2 syllables and then 2 syllables. I see 3 syllables and 2 syllables. So can you just say it one more time? I see I'm looking, I wrote it down. I want to say this right. On Abetu Teche. Abetu, but
right.
Abetu
Teche.
Abetu Teche. So if you say it really fast, it sounds like okay. Abetu Teche. Abetu Teche. Okay.
And we are going to call it Education Center instead of Community Center. And we consciously sort of made that change over a year ago and started calling Fairview Education Center. People were calling us and expecting that we had the big gym, the walking gym, the big pool with all the fancy slides and stuff. And so we decided that maybe if we stop calling it a community center, and we all know if you've lived in Roseville, that that's been a long conversation in the Roseville community about a community center, and they go, we already have one. Well, we don't have the, you know, the pool and activities that a normal community center will have. The pool here will stay warm like it was warm before. We are kind of rethinking how we do programming in our pool because it's 4 lanes instead of 6. We'll still have our lessons. We'll still have our daytime open swim for folks. And actually, people might feel like they want to come here because it feels like it's clean. You know, our old locker rooms just were, some people wouldn't even change in them. You know, they would do what they can to leave and just stay out of them. And I promise that every single shower will work. We had a lot of unworking showers. So, you know, we'll probably stub our foot a little bit as we move forward, but that would be our plan. Probably we're going to look at doing a soft opening. So certain programs will open at different times. The pool may not open until October, but we just really need to make sure that desks and technology and everything is in. So we will open for the first day of school for our alternative high school, for our pre-K program, for early childhood special ed. And then I think a week later, our adult high school opens, but our ABE program. So we're going to try to do it slowly. We do plan to have a community event, probably not until October when we know for sure, A, what we can do around COVID, and B, that we have all parts of the building working. And so once life changes, I would invite you to have one of your meetings at our building, and we can, you know, make some arrangements for food and give you an opportunity to see the building, because I want people to still really understand this is a community building, and we still will be opening it up to the community, and we will still make space for the community.
Well,
Thank
we
you
might
so
have
much.
we might have to take you up on that. It sounds like a fun little tour. Khadija has a question.
Yes, good morning, everyone. And thank you so much. There's so much need out there. And this might be out of your portfolio, but I was wondering if you have legal services, and if you don't, do you have ability to maybe advise on where to go for our community members to access legal services, get legal advice?
That's a really great question. At this point, we don't have any formal relationships with any of the nonprofit legal groups. We have at several different times brought in and had meetings when we knew things were going on. Some of you might remember back a while ago when we had issues with apartment dwellings moving out, especially families of color. We did bring in the Southern Legal something that came in, was here several days to help people work that through. But that's a really interesting idea, and I will put it on our list to really be thinking about. Thank you for the suggestion.
Jan, did you have a question? Go ahead.
Karen, I didn't, maybe I missed it when you said it, but you were talking about putting over some other programs on the east side, and I believe that we got some early childhood programs that are going or gone over there already.
Yes, we have new, let's see, we have 5 new classrooms added on to the Harambe School. So this fall, they will be opening up a new pre-K center there. So
And
yes.
I just want to comment on that because as the busing guy, we're running some very long bus routes for little bitty kids from over by Edgerton and Little Canada, and they're going to have a much improved bus ride.
Yes.
And thank you for that bus loading area, by the way, and unloading area. Love it.
Isn't it great? It is great. It's great.
Dream come true, isn't it, Jan?
It is.
Any other questions?
Johnson?
Oh, Ted, yes, please.
Yeah, thank you again, Karen, for a really fascinating presentation. It's going to be fun to see what it all comes out with. I had a couple of different questions. One regarding the pool. I think in the past, the center worked some with the Shoreview Y to provide, I guess it was swim lessons for Muslim women. Is that true? And is that kind of thing a possible thing to continue?
Yes, that is true. And yes, we have a different Y director than we did at the time when we started that. We had that. We also had the Y come in and I think did some yoga classes for some of the women. So yes, you know, it's been so long since we've all been really in this building providing programming. Our hope is that all of that will continue. And I'm going to put that on my list to talk to the new Y director and see if we can't get some of those things back here, because that was really powerful.
I can help you with that because I happen to be chair of the community service board at the Y. And I've mentioned it to the new director, Derek, in the past. So I'm sure he'd be quite open to chat with you, or I could help if you want.
Yes, yes. Well, we need to get reconnected. I know I was introduced to him when he first started, but COVID was on there and we just didn't follow up much, but we need to do that. Thank you so much.
And then the other question I had has to do with the North Suburban Chorus. Are they going to be able to get back in and use rehearsal space later on?
Yes. And that's one of the things that we're going to need to work on as we get back in there, because we don't have like a choir room anymore, but I think we have a couple spots where they could come in and practice. The one thing I would say to that group and every group, we have minimal to no storage space. So we'll have to work on that piece of the storage of their music.
Yeah, there was, they had music storage and also uniform storage closets in one of the classrooms, I think somewhere. But the bigger question is space to be able to sing. And I didn't know whether that teaching and learning center upstairs might be a possibility for rehearsals because of all the instructions these days about how people rehearsing indoors probably need to stay further apart than they're used to.
Yes. Yep. Yes. Great. Well, thanks for reminding me that we need to go back. I mean, it's just been so hard because so many programs had to leave us so long ago. Feels like we're going to have a real homecoming, but yes, we will. I'll get that back on my agenda to be looking at that, because I do believe you practice like Friday afternoons. If I'm
We did, yeah, we practice Friday afternoons, and then afterwards had coffee and goodies that we bring into the activity room. Yep.
One of the other things that we will be continuing, in the old Fairview building, we did have greeters only during the school day. We will now be hiring individual to be at the door until 10 o'clock at night. So we will spend a little bit more time making sure who's coming and who's going out of the building. Everyone is welcome, but with so many things that have happened over time, people will be checking, like, are you signing in for what activity, and having a little bit more control of comings and goings. So that will change a little bit, but I think that will work.
Great, thank you.
Well, I thank you, Karen. This has been really a wonderful update. It's been fun to watch that building go up, and just exciting to learn about all the progress and how you've maximized the usage and the money, and well done. So thank you so much for being with us today. I want to let you know that we make donations in honor of our speakers to the Roseville Rotary Woods and Rain Garden. And so
thank you
we'll be doing that. Yes, thank you. Jenny, would you let us know who we can expect to hear from next week?
Yeah, next week our visitor is from Atlanta, so she's coming from a different time zone. Her name is Sue Rushi, and she's the president, CEO, and National Families in Action. And National Families in Action really has helped shape, and Sue has, the drug prevention field in the U.S. for young adults and teens. And she is the author of the Marijuana Report, which has really helped lead the parent drug prevention movement. And so she's going to talk to us on Monday about the impact of legalization of marijuana on states that have done it so far, and just kind of what that looks like. So it should be a really interesting conversation.
Sounds fantastic. Thank you, Jenny. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us today. Our meeting is adjourned, and I look forward to seeing you next week.